Welcome back to the Gabe and Shey Podcast. I'm Gabe.
I'm Shey, and we are on week 2.
Week two. We are on week 2, which is kind of a very big deal for us, right? I mean, this is exciting, super, super exciting. And today's topic is going to be about movies that inspired us, basically kind of like with an emotional connection, you know? And we're going to be getting to a lot of other things, you know, coming soon too. I'm sure there's a few people that want to hear about some of the stories that, you know, about the things that we've gotten through. Mm-hmm. But this is also an important thing because when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an actor. That was my thing. I was going to be the next, back then it would have been Mel Gibson, Tom Hanks, Robin Williams. I wanted to be the next Jim Carrey. Quite frankly, Ryan Reynolds was one of my heroes way before he was famous in Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. It was a show. And it was the way that he animated himself was very similar to me. And so it was, I loved that about that. So, but we're going to kind of chat about some movies that inspire us. But yeah, I want Shey to start.
Yeah. Well, movies didn't really play as big a part of my childhood as they may have with yours.
You didn't want to be an actor?
But of course I wanted to be rich and famous and everybody knew my name. But the few movies that I did see as a kid, of course they stuck with me because they were few and far between. And so each one of them felt like they had a huge impact on how I viewed the world and how I wanted to live when I got older.
Yeah. So tell me about the movie that when you think of movies from your childhood that just like either moved you, crushed you, terrified you, whatever, that really just played such a huge role. What's the first one that comes to mind?
Okay, so there's some that come to mind from actual childhood, but the very first one that affected my environment because it was such a big hit with my friends as well, and we watched it on repeat, was The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys.
And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it is a low-budget vampire drama/comedy. It's a fantastic movie for its time.
How did that affect your mindset, though? How did that affect your perspective on life?
Well, so coming from a very strict background, the Lost Boys was a couple of teenage boys who had just moved to a new place and literally had their run of the town. And they had this amazing adventure because of it. And they met people and they went places and they did things. And there was very little parental interaction or guidance. Mm-hmm. And when there was, it was just make sure you're making good choices, you know? And so it was definitely just one of those things that I was like, man, I wish I had that kind of life, you know, because at that time I definitely didn't. And there were a lot of great one-liners in it. So my girlfriends and I went around quoting the movie like crazy. That's
amazing. And I think that, by the way, I love the Lost Boys. It was such a great movie. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely just well done. Just 100% well done movie. And I also love movies like that. For me, the number one movie that inspired me the most or had the most emotional impact on me, this is going to sound so stupid, was Batman Begins.
Ooh.
Yeah, and this was more into my adult life when I saw it, right? Because when it came out.
For those of us who aren't as familiar, which Batman was it?
I thought you were going to be like, who's Batman? It's going to be like, you know what? Turn me off. Turn my podcast off.
He's the guy with the big red S on his chest, right?
Yeah, that's him, honey. That's him.
Which Batman was it?
It's funny when it comes to references. Shey is, she doesn't get them all, but man, she tries. Like, she will go out of her way to be like just on point. She'll be right on top of it. I love it. Mm-hmm. It would have been Christian Bale. Okay, so his very first appearance as Batman, Christian Bale, and I love Christian Bale. And
yeah,
but it was a very specific character in the movie, and it was Bruce Wayne's dad. And he had very little scenes in this movie. He might have been, I don't know. He might have had like 4 scenes in the whole movie, but all 4 of them were dramatically impactful for me of who the type of father I want to be.
Okay.
And it inspired me more than, and that the characters that are noble, that are honorable, that are knightly, all of those characters were the most inspiring to me as a child. I wanted to be the most honorable. I wanted to be the person that you could not shake. You could not shake. And boy, did I do that wrong, because I didn't.
Hey, I disagree. And I know the kids would too.
Today,
you did pull it off.
Today I would say I am definitely, I'm definitely that character today, for sure. But back then, back when I wanted to be that character, there's no way. Gosh. Anyways, but yeah, good old Batman Begins. Man, he was such a powerful, why do we fall, Bruce? It's one of the best lines that he just said. He says, why do we fall? And it's not, we fall just to get back up. We don't fall because something happened to us. We fall because it's an opportunity to get back up. It's an opportunity to be better. It's an opportunity to be stronger. And he said it in like one line. And that's all I took from it, was all of that from one line. And I know I'm not alone. I guarantee you I'm not alone. Yeah. For those who saw it and appreciated that movie. It's one of Nolan's good ones. But this is a topic that I'm really familiar with, but Shey is not as familiar with. But what's another movie that really captured your attention?
Oh, man.
That you think paved the way for the Shey that is today?
Yep. I was a little bit older, and this was probably shortly after you and I originally met. So
this was back when we were 19, 20 years old. Okay.
Yes.
19, 20.
Yeah. Right out of high school. And I saw a movie it's an Italian movie. It's in Italian, but it's got subtitles, and it's called Life is Beautiful. And
do you remember who you saw that with?
Well, that would have been you.
It would have been me, but I bet you didn't remember that 5 seconds ago, did you?
Stop it.
See that? She saw it with me at the theater. Oh, go ahead.
So, can I start this whole story over again?
No way. Sorry, go ahead. But so good.
That movie in particular absolutely changed my perspective on storytelling, because it's a story about not just the Holocaust, though it does kind of address that as well, but about trials and tribulations and how to work past it, how to come out on the other side of things. And no exaggeration, that movie had me bawling tears and laughing hysterically at the exact same time. It was so brilliantly made. And I had never experienced two such conflicting emotions at one time before. And so that movie really changed how I viewed movies, period.
I am so glad you brought up that movie, because particularly that movie deserves a little bit of unpacking, because Life is Beautiful is about, it's a comedy drama. Okay. That would be the best way to describe it. It's a comedy drama. And he meets a girl and also gets stuck with a little boy, doesn't he? He kind of gets...
No, they have a little boy.
Oh, they have a little boy. Yeah. Okay. And then of course, all the bad things start to happen. And his role as a father, this brings me back now again for another fatherly character. His role as a father is to be entertaining despite everything that's going on.
Yeah, to distract his son from the horrors that were happening around them.
Yeah, and he nails it. He got I think he won an Oscar for it, honestly. And but the biggest premise in the whole movie, to me, also comes from Viktor Frankl's
absolutely
the meaning of Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't read this book, it's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust prisoner. And he created what's called today logotherapy. And logotherapy is a therapy that's used to basically fight anxiety, to challenge how anxiety works in all of us. And Viktor Frankl, even as a prisoner, he was able to perceive everything around him with a grain of salt. He took it all in with a grain of salt. He took control of his interpretations of everything that happened to him. And I would say the same thing with the main character from Life is Beautiful.
Absolutely.
I think he did that.
Yeah, because Viktor Frankl said they can do whatever they want with my body, but they can't have my mind.
You can't touch my mind.
And to me, absolutely, Life is Beautiful is a fantastic representation of that mindset.
Oh, big time. And Viktor Frankl too. I mean, they killed his wife. They killed his parents. It was unbelievable, all the things that happened to him. But he took it so well. He took everything so well that the guards, the Nazi guards, actually started to seek him out for advice and seek him out for their own anxieties. So what a powerful message. And please read the book. It's it's such an absolutely wonderful book.
We're talking about movies on this episode.
Yeah, I know. But you brought that up.
No,
And it's
right,
a great transition into, how maybe Life is Beautiful was inspired by Viktor Frankl's story.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? I guess we've never really looked into that, know. What a good one. Gosh, that's way better than my next one, which was...
What's your next one?
Yeah, no, it's going to be Willow. Willow Offgood, 1980s movie. Absolutely crushed it. It was a George Lucas film. I think Spielberg had a little bit of part, or not Spielberg. It was a Ron Howard film, and George Lucas had a part in that. I know all you reference crazies out there are going, no, it wasn't. It was Ron. I know, I got you. It was Ron. But that movie was about a little guy saving the world. A little guy saving the world. And, even though he was small in stature and he wasn't tall, he was formidable. And everyone underestimated him.
Yep.
And when
he even underestimated himself at first, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. He had to grow into it. And then, but that movie, that was my favorite movie for tens of years. I mean, I think we might have been 30 before it shifted a little bit.
Yep.
But that was a huge one for me. And then they came out with a show on Disney. We're not big show watchers, and you'll figure out why a little bit later. We do watch some shows though. And that was one of them. I was like, oh man, it took them 30 years to put something together. Come on.
Yep.
What else? What else for you?
Oh man, I have a few. I only wrote down about 6 because I was trying to come up with the most impactful ones, right? And so you can only have so many most impactful.
Yeah.
But so in my early 20s, I was going through a spiritual journey, and we'll get into that on another episode.
Yeah,
but somebody introduced me to a movie called Baraka, Baraka, which I think means breath of life or essence of life. And it's not a documentary, but it's filmed kind of documentary style. There's no dialogue in it, but it basically shows this filmmaker's interpretation of life from the beginning, before humans ever existed, so from the beginning of Earth up to the technology and industrial that we have now.
And the garbage.
And all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yep.
But the reason that movie impacted me so greatly, one of the reasons, is up until then, I had never seen how chickens are processed. I stopped eating eggs and chicken for years thanks to that movie. And it's not graphic. They don't delve deep into it, but the split seconds of scenes that I saw were such a shock to me that it turned my world upside down and also opened my eyes in a wonderful way. That movie was an incredible inspiration to me in so many other ways. But yeah, that movie literally changed my life.
Movies like that are designed to pull emotion out of you. It's designed to influence, right? I mean, movies, by the way, so I mentioned in our previous episode, I'm a business coach, I'm a thought coach. And a lot of people don't really realize this, but movies were created to market to their audience. The whole purpose of movies was to market to their audience using emotion as the marketing vehicle. And so when you take a movie like Baraka, but even Willow had marketing, or use Star Wars as a great example. Star Wars is one of the best, right? It's one of the easiest to get your mind around, but they made more money on the toys from Star Wars than any movie ever made. Toys outclassed it all. Actually, you know what? Netflix just did a documentary on this, I think. So
Did they?
Yeah, I don't think I'm preaching anything new here. So, but movies are designed as marketing vehicles for certain things. Sometimes it's really difficult to see what that is. And then you'll get new movie filmmakers, like indie filmmakers. They're going to go out and they're going to create it, and they're going to be like, no, I just want to create this because of the emotion. But then they want to go get financial backing. And when they go get financial backing, that's when people step in and be like, listen, we love what you're doing. We want you to do this.
But
however,
now change this and this and this.
Yeah, I want you to do this, this, and this because we've got certain interests that we're going to market. And to me, that's not a bad thing. That's just a way to be profitable. Look, if I'm going to let you rent my money, then I want to be able to get some of that money back, right? So I'm not going to give you $1 and just let you use it willy-nilly without there being some type of share. So this is just the way that these companies work. They finance big productions for a price, and the price normally is marketing some certain element that'll happen well after the movie.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Something that I think a lot of us don't really think about when we're going to see movies.
And nor do I want to ruin movies either, because by the way, I'm a filmmaker. Okay. So I've done films before, and we used to own a videography company. This is something that's very passionate to me. So, but understanding that you can be an independent artist and go out there and make a film, but at the same time, you've got these marketing elements. You need money to be able to produce these things, especially on a big level. For example, this podcast, we're going organic, man. So, I mean, really, we're not going to be dumping a bunch of money into marketing this thing. We're just going to go organic. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Her and I have already decided that's not a big deal to us. We're not in this if this affects one person in the right way, we win every time. So, what was the movie that you just mentioned just now?
Oh, Baraka?
Baraka, thank you. So that was a great way. Documentaries are very much like that. Unfortunately, some of them you can abuse a documentary.
Oh, sure, with the propaganda.
Yeah.
And there was probably some element of propaganda in that movie, but that's not how I took it. It's a very spiritual movie in my eyes.
Sure, yeah.
And so that's really what I pulled out of it, was that just amazing connection that humans and Earth have together.
Hey, true art is up to the interpreter, isn't it? Isn't it by interpretation? So,
yeah.
The last movie on my list, I'm sure there's plenty more, but the one that I kind of refer to quite a bit because of who I am today, good call, because we're all doing our own production here, so we're just checking things. The one that I refer to a lot today is The Matrix. The freaking Matrix, man. So here's why I'm going to say that. We're going to get to who I've been, who I was, what our life was before Shey came around, even when Shey was around. We're going to get to all that stuff, but who I am today is so dramatically different than who I used to be that it was like I was removed from the Matrix. And so that movie is a giant inspiration to me of I perceive differently than most people these days. I don't see green lines. That'd be cool.
You don't?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, if I did, I wouldn't tell you. You know what I mean? But I don't see green lines or anything like that. But I absolutely see perceptions that are invisible to most people. And I see interpretations that are invisible to most people. And it's a blessing and a curse. It allows me to be smarter and be wiser and definitely be more compassionate, which is a huge thing with me. But the Matrix, man, what a weird way to talk about being a zombie. We'll get to zombies later, but anyway.
I love zombie movies. They're great.
Well, I'm just talking about the zombies that are here today. Anyway, did you have another one?
I do. I have 3 more, but I don't even know where we're at on timing.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So one of the movies that Princess Bride. It's such a witty, clever, funny, romantic comedy. Did I say comedy already? Adventure. Yeah, it's literally got everything in it. And it was so witty. It was probably the wittiest movie I had ever seen up to that point.
Wow. Okay.
You know, just every line in that movie was mind-blowingly clever to me.
Yeah, that's funny. We're talking about a lot of older movies for sure, but this is about what's inspired us. And you could easily say that Willow, okay, in my case, because that was back in like 88, okay, when Willow came out, if that did move me emotionally or change me in some fashion, it was probably not for the better because honestly, I broke my back. I fell into drugs. I was obese. I was in financial ruin. I mean, you name it, all those things happened.
Well, that wasn't Willow's fault.
I was going to say, I don't want to blame Willow for that, right? They say that if you blame somebody for your past, if you blame them for all the bad, you also need to blame them for all the good, because the truth is, you wouldn't be who you are today if it wasn't for them. Good and bad.
That's right.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
So what about a newer movie?
I was really struggling, honestly. So two that are slightly newer, but still really old movies.
Don't say Gone with the Wind.
Truman Show.
Oh man.
Because
it's like The Matrix, but with Jim Carrey.
Exactly it. You brought up The Matrix, and and Truman Show is one of those movies that you suddenly realize that your reality may not be reality. It makes you start questioning
everything.
Questioning isn't bad.
No.
If you use it in a way to grow and to learn, and up until that point, I don't know how much I had really questioned. Really.
That movie did not make me question, for sure, reality. However, what a great example of how easily blind we could be if we're conditioned for it.
Yeah.
And in that movie, if you haven't seen it, it stars Jim Carrey and Ed Harris. It is a wonderful movie about a man who is...
Ooh, don't give it away.
Well,
they haven't seen it.
I'm pretty good at this, I think. And you know what? If you haven't seen The Truman Show, man...
That's true. It's been out long enough.
It's been out long enough. You need to go watch it. And but the Truman Show, it's about a man who is inside of a dome, but there's actors. He's surrounded by actors. His whole life is actors. This whole town is inside of a dome, and he never leaves town, and he's not allowed to leave town. Something always comes up.
But he doesn't. Yeah, and he doesn't know he's inside of a dome.
Not a clue. And but not only is he in a dome, he's being filmed every second of every day, and it has become a marketing thing for the whole world to watch Truman in his daily life. What's Truman doing today? And they come up with new episodes to throw things at him. And so he doesn't discover it, or does he? And just watch the movie, right?
I don't know if you've heard about the real life case of that happened a few years back in China, Japan. Don't hate me, people. Don't come for me. There was a real life, I'll have to look it up because I want to say the name of the show, but I'm not sure that I have the right name. Okay. So, but that a gentleman who was placed into an apartment and was told, you have to earn your life. So you have to earn, food, you have to earn games, you have to earn everything. And the way he did that was by clipping, magazine things. Anyway, he didn't know he was being recorded. He didn't know he was on TV, and literally the entire country was watching him.
Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. This is how zombified our nation is, right? We're not going to get into conspiracy here. Okay. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about facts and psychology. All right. And I'm going to leave it at that. So anytime a conspiracy seems to come up, I'm probably going to squash it. So, but the truth of the matter is the world is run through money. Money fuels everything in our world. Okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing, but there's people out there that abuse it and people out there that don't. All right. So it's a matter of how do you get educated enough, get wise enough to know which ones are trying to screw you over and which ones are actually trying to help you and be a good human being. Mm-hmm. And so it's that type of wisdom that I'm searching for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I don't want to be bamboozled by somebody, but I would never blame them for bamboozling me. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's up to me to outsmart them or grow so that I can outsmart them. If you're going to sit there and not grow or learn the things that you need to learn to not be outsmarted, you have no right to blame someone for being a douchebag, right? It's
real Gabe is coming out now.
A little bit. You get what you tolerate. You absolutely get what you tolerate. Right. So if you're going to tolerate bullshit, you're going to get bullshit. Pardon my French. God, episode 2. Here we go.
Well, so you brought up a really good question, and I'm super curious. I'm struggling to think of movies that have really shaped me in the last 10 to 15 years. I feel like maybe I don't view movies the same way that I allowed them to affect me when I was younger. So help me. What's a more recent movie for you that really changed your perspective on life or emotional connection?
Oh, well, I'll mention, so I am a little girl when it comes to musicals. Okay. And I love a good musical. The Greatest Showman was literally laid me out like I had been sucker punched by the best thing that's ever happened. And I don't want to be too all mushy about this, but I wanted to be that actor. I wanted to be the one that entertained everyone. Yeah. And he was able to do that, and he took his family on this journey to do that. And, he messed up. He fell on his face. He got back up. But everybody loved him because of it. And
what a good movie. I cannot believe I didn't think of that one.
Oh, no, it's just so good. And it should have been inspiring, especially for all the people that don't get perceived right. Everybody thinks they know what's right. Man, it's like... All right, I'm gonna calm down here. Everybody thinks they know what's right, and when you think you know what's right, you tend to judge other people for not behaving what you think is right. And how unfair to those who might be a little bit different and might be seeing the world literally different than you. And if that's the case, consider the language they speak and consider the language that you speak, because if you don't speak their language and they don't speak yours, why would we ever assume that they should be like us? That's like colonization, right? You take that, go way back. But then again, a lot of the great works happen because of the devastation that's happened too. And we're going to get into our personal lives, and we're going to help to understand how devastation shapes us in a good way if we choose it to be a good way, right? The Greatest Showman was, and the singing, the songs. Oh, I love to sing. I can't sing any of those songs, and it pains me because I do love to sing, but they're just out of my range.
You know what? I cannot believe that neither one of us has brought up Fifth Element.
Or
I thought 50 about First Dates.
I thought about the Fifth Element. But it has no context, and it's so entertaining, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here today. So,
well, 50 First Dates does. You and I watched that movie on repeat for a couple of years when we got back together.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It was a good movie. Adam Sandler, I love Adam Sandler. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much it. We don't want to go too deep into this one. We just wanted to be this a little bit of entertaining. If you watch those movies, consider watching them with these new perspectives if you didn't already have one of these perspectives to begin with. We highly recommend all of them. And then when you entertain yourself with stuff like this, always try to be open-minded. You don't have to be, but I mean, look, you're going to be going into this thing coming out with something. And if you're not coming out with something, then you're a zombie, right? Because if you're watching something, but you don't come out with anything, you don't learn anything, you don't think a little bit differently, you just entertained your brain for an hour, you're a zombie. And that's something that...
Why are you talking dirty about Netflix movies?
I know, right?
we have a little inside joke in our household that...
mediocre.com?
Yeah, Netflix movies, they're just mediocre. You get far enough into the movie before you realize how mediocre it is, but by then you're committed.
Yeah, you can't escape. It's literally
you
a prison.
have to finish watching it now, and then you finish the movie and you're like, that was so mediocre.
It was hardly fair. So we're going to talk about reading here shortly and how, that changes the old life. But even though I read ridiculously, I do still make time to watch a couple shows and stuff like that. I will always have that entertainment mind, and I always want to be wanted to be an actor. I don't know if I still do. I guess somebody approached me and was like, "Hey man, you want to act in a movie?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do. Yeah, let's go."
Yep.
Let's go.
You've acted in a couple of movies. Homegrown,
super, not even B or C or D movies. They're like X. No, not X.
Stop it.
No,
X. No, whoa. Wait, what?
No, like S movies, or just like way down the line of the alphabet. Wow.
See, guys, it only took 2 episodes.
Yeah, 2 episodes. Here we go. Anyways, so what do we got for next week, Shey? What's on next week's agenda?
Ooh, good question.
We're going to be more prepared as we go. So
yeah, I'm new here. 19.
All right.
If you guys are wondering, we have this handy dandy.
Yeah, we don't need to say the numbers anymore. That's just weird.
But I don't know what they're called. So
yeah.
Ooh, using gratitude to navigate life's hardships.
Using gratitude to navigate life's hardships. So that's going to be a big one. It's actually going to lead into our 4th episode when we get there. But gratitude has changed our lives. Gratitude has changed our lives, and I'm really looking forward to this topic. It is changed my life forever. I can't unsee it, all of the things that I've gained from it. And we're going to be able to talk about that, which is going to lead into one of the hardest things that we've ever faced. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, this is the end of our 2nd podcast.
No.
The fact that you just stuck around makes you a badass in our book, honestly. And so we appreciate you. Please, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and contextually speaking, it's going to get better and better. Please subscribe. That's the only way that we're going to get some of these messages out there.
We're putting the link down there, up there.
I don't know.
Find the link.
Wherever she says it's going. So I'm sure you'll find it. Most people know tech way better than we do these days. Anyways, take care for now. My name's Gabe.
My name's Shey.
And it's been Gabe and Shey.
Thanks for joining us for week 2.
Week 2.